Hello everybody, Calamity here, and today's video is going to be a series where we're going to go over each character that became a Hexerei character and go over their buffs and how I feel about them. So if you're not sure what the Hexerei stuff even is or what this all means, I'll explain it to you. But first of all, if you go over to the event tab, it's not on mine because I already did the quest, but there should be a quest here that's labeled like the witch's homework or something like that. It's basically a really short quest. It's not like Archon, quest length or anything like that. But you basically just go through a couple of dialogue scenes and then come on over to your gadgets, and you will get a book called the Little Witch's Dictionary, which allows you to go on these. You think of these as like short hangout quests with the following characters on this list. You hang out with them, you fight some stuff maybe, and then they become a Hexerei character. So you can see you need to actually have the character, and the character needs to be level 70 in order to access their little quest that turns them into a Hexerei character. So I don't have a Klee, so I'm going to have to borrow either Edmar's or Samer's Klee in a future video. But anywho, today we're going to go over Fischl. So let's go over to the enhancement details page. So after you do her quest and get the book and all that stuff, you'll unlock what's called the Witch's Eve Rite Phantasmal Nocturne. Now, this top portion here is going to be the same thing for every Hexerei character. So, you do the quest, they become Hexerei character, and then in order to have this talent become active, you need to have 2 Hexerei characters in your party for it to become available. So, what does Fischl turning into a Hexerei character even do? There's a lot of yapping here, as, this fits in with Fischl's character right here on this first paragraph. You don't have to really bother with that. The second part is what's important. So additionally, when Oz is on the field, party members will gain the additional buffs. If you trigger a overloaded reaction, Fischl and other party members will gain a 22.5% attack boost for 10 seconds. Or if you trigger a electro-charged or lunar charged reaction, Fischl and other party members will gain an elemental mastery buff of 90 for 10 seconds. This is crazy because I don't know about y'all, but I'm sure we're all in a little bit of agreement here that Fischl is definitely one of the better 4-star characters and has been ever since launch. She's probably not as talked about as much as like Zhongling, Bennett, Jingqiu, etc., but she's really good still. Like, especially if you're messing with overloaded teams, electro-charged teams. I'm sure some of you were already using Fischl for these teams specifically. So now, it doesn't matter if it's overloaded or electrocharged, she's giving your team a pretty massive buff, to say the least. This is a nice chunk of damage you're going to have just from having Fischl on the team. It's not just her, right? It's everybody getting, if it's overloaded, everyone getting a 22.5% attack buff. That's crazy. That's a crazy amount of damage for everybody involved. Same with the electrocharged. Everyone getting 90 elemental mastery. Although, I don't know if that's like a big damage increase compared to the attack boost, but I think elemental mastery is like a good chunk of it is still nice to have. So this is like a free instructor set. Although I think this is higher than instructor set. So yeah, it's like a better version of instructor set on Fischl for free. But there's actually more to the Hexerei stuff. So not all characters were created equally here, but we can see that Fischl has a buff added to her Constellation 6. So I think it's fair to say that most of us, especially like, the older players, have Fischl C6 just because she's a launch character. She's been in so many banners before, and standard pulls and all that stuff. We probably got her a bunch. So yeah, I would say this is, not too hard to attain. Maybe for like newer players, or if you've only recently started, sure, but like this is definitely something a lot of people have, is a C6 Fischl. And what it does is that it increases the buffs of her Hexerei talent by 100%. Dude, I was just saying how this is great. Now, instead of a 22.5% buff for overloaded teams, she's now giving you a 45% attack increase for everybody on the team. That is insane. And that also means 180 elemental mastery for the entire electro charge / lunar charge team. Also insane. Very good damage overall. I mean, Fischl is... She's just gonna be the same but better. Like, that's literally it. I mean, that's the definition of a buff, right? And fortunately, because not much else has changed in her kit, her build pretty much stays the same. Unlike Venti, which I'll cover in a future video. But yeah, heading on over to the teams that you can make with Fischl, I mean, she was already a character that had a lot of diversity, and still does. So, well, you can just put her with just about any of your overloaded teams that you want to pair her up with. The problem that you'll run into is the lack of team slots. So remember, in order for her to have her Hexerei buff active, or her Hexerei talent active, you need to have her paired up with another Hexerei character. And if you're like, okay, who's that? Who would that be? Well, if we filter by Hexerei, these are your options. Not Jingcho or Roran. They're only here because they're in the team. So these characters here are Hexerei characters. The only characters that are not listed here because I do not have them is Durin, who needs to be level 70, and I need to do his quest, and Klee. So those are your other two options. So I guess you could do some overloaded team with Klee or Durin if you wanted to go for that route. That would definitely help you on both applying the elements needed for the reaction and just, you know, team slots and Hexerei stuff. Something to consider. But if you're trying to go for the Electro Charge / Lunar Charge route, well, you need an Effa, right, for Lunar Charged, or Flynn's for Lunar Charged. Chevreuse is like a must-have for any, or sorry, not Chevreuse. Auroron, I wouldn't say he's a must-have, but he's definitely a character designed just for Electro Charge teams, but he's Electro himself. So that leaves you with like one slot for a Hydro character. And again, Jingcho comes to mind, but we don't really have like a... Depending on your team, like, you have a main DPS that can synergize with him really well. So if you were to do like an Electro Charge team, Flynn's, Fischl, Mona, there's your Hexerei covered. And then, I mean, you could bring Auroron for more Electro Charge buffs, but Mona's Hydro application is just not enough to constantly do Electro Charge, so you would definitely need to probably swap him out for, I don't know, some other character if you want to do Electro Charge. But yeah, this is just an insane buff to Fischl, who I already thought was a pretty good 4-star character. But if you want to go the other route real quick, let's just filter by Pyro. So you want to do, you know, Overcharged, right, and get the 45% buff. I mean, imagine your Arlecchino on an Overcharged team getting a 45% attack buff. That's crazy. Or Malvika, or Durin, if you have him built, already getting nice buffs for himself. And then, of course, Chevreuse gonna be the other character that you definitely want to consider bringing, right? She's the Overcharged lady. So yeah, I mean, at this point, just bring another Electro unit maybe for some extra application, or I don't know. Honestly, it's up to you, but it would be like your main DPS, Fischl. Again, we need another Hexerei character. I think Durin is perfect if you want to do overloaded, excuse me, teams with Fischl, because he's a Hexerei character as well. So yeah, I mean, just so all in all, Fischl got better. Put her in the teams that you're probably already using her with. The only issue is you probably don't have enough team slots to use all the characters you want to. And that's a good thing, to be honest. It means you have a lot of good options when it comes to building certain teams now, and that's never a bad thing. Not to mention, Imaginarium Theater always exists. So having a surplus of good characters that synergize well together, always going to be nice to have on future theater runs. And not to mention, I do think she'll be a viable option if you're looking for a good buffer. And, you know, of course, her personal damage is always going to be still good because of C6 doing constant attacks and stuff like that. And like I mentioned before, her build is still the same. That's going to be it for covering Fischl's Hexerei talent. I don't really feel like I need to show you a showcase of Fischl because, you know, it's the same thing, but she just provides a buff now to Electro Charge and overloaded teams. So, yay Fischl for getting better. Alright, so that's going to do it for me. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll go over the next Hexerei character, which is going to be... I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. But thank you guys for watching. and I'll see you all in the next video.